In February 1999, Indian Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee crossed the border into Pakistan on a passenger bus to sign the Lahore Declaration. This treaty was intended to resolve decades of border conflict through diplomatic dialogue. The stakes of this meeting were survival. Both nations had successfully tested nuclear weapons just months earlier, meaning any military escalation now carried the risk of an atomic exchange. But while the politicians shook hands, General Pervez Musharraf was orchestrating an invasion. Keeping even his own prime minister in the dark, he launched Operation Badra, secretly moving troops across the line of control, the de facto border, and into the icy heights of Kargil. This was a premeditated trap. Musharraf used the cover of the peace treaty to seize territory, while India's high-altitude surveillance was reduced for the winter season. The intrusion was discovered in early May by a local shepherd named Tashi Namgyal. While searching for a lost yak, he looked through his binoculars and spotted men in Patani suits breaking rocks to build reinforced bunkers on the Indian side of the border. Indian Army patrols sent to investigate found that the Pakistani military had crossed the border in force. They were entrenched across a 150-kilometer stretch of jagged mountain peaks. Infiltrators occupied peaks at 16,000 feet, firing directly down onto National Highway 1A. This sole supply route feeds troops at the Siachen Glacier. Cutting it off isolates Ladakh, forcing India to negotiate over Kashmir. To save their territory, the Indian military had to scale 17,000-foot vertical cliffs while climbing directly into the line of enemy fire. India launched Operation Vijay to reclaim the heights. The ground troops faced a grueling reality. Reaching the enemy meant scaling 80-degree rock inclines in a journey that took 12 to 13 hours of constant climbing. Moving during the day was impossible due to enemy snipers. Instead, soldiers navigated the ice and sub-zero temperatures in pitch darkness, while their lungs fought for oxygen in the thin, high-altitude air. The steepness of the terrain forced the infantry to make a choice. They could carry the heavy ammunition required for the fight, or the 2 kilos of rations needed to survive the cold. They chose the ammunition. Before reaching the enemy, the Indian troops had to survive the extreme physical limits of the human body in an environment where oxygen levels are dangerously low. To support the infantry, the Indian Air Force launched Operation Safed Sagar. Fighter jets are difficult to fly in thin mountain air because the wings generate less lift, but the ground troops needed cover fire to advance. The pilots were ordered not to cross the line of control. To hit bunkers perched light on the border without entering Pakistani airspace, the Air Force used Mirage 2000 jets equipped with precision laser-guided bombs. While the air war raged in the mountains, India opened a second front in the Arabian Sea with Operation Talwar. The Indian Navy blockaded the waters outside the port of Karachi. This move cut off Pakistan's maritime trade and its oil supply, creating a logistical crisis for the Pakistani military command. By suffocating the enemy's economy by sea and pounding their bunkers from the air, these coordinated strikes created the openings the ground infantry needed to advance. By early July, Indian infantry reached the summits of the most defended peaks, including Tiger Hill and Point 4875. The fighting at the top was often hand-to-hand. Soldiers who had just scaled vertical ice walls were now cleaning enemy bunkers with grenades and physical force on the narrow ridges. Officers led from the front, taking heavy casualties. 24-year-old Captain Vikram Batra secured multiple peaks in physical combat, but was killed while attempting to rescue an injured officer from enemy fire. The recapture of these peaks broke the Pakistani occupation, proving that the high ground was secondary to the willpower of the infantry. As their military positions collapsed, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif flew to Washington, D.C. on the 4th of July to ask the United States to intervene. President Bill Clinton refused. Fearing that a desperate Pakistani military might use their new nuclear weapons, he demanded that Sharif order an immediate and total withdrawal back to the line of control. Following the retreat in July, General Musharraf suspended the constitution and overthrew Nawaz Sharif in a military coup, taking control of the country. The conflict ended on July 26, 1999. By coordinating air, sea, and ground forces, India regained the territory lost to an infiltration that had used a verticality of the Himalayas as its primary defense.